All right. Um, Good evening, everyone. How you doing, man? I appreciate y'all coming on. My name's Eddie Hamilton, Coach Hamilton, affectionately called. I appreciate y'all coming in. This is kind of the beginning of what I call the Coaches Sanctuary, a place that's going to be dedicated to helping coaches build successful programs off the court and off the field. A lot of times we have a lot of videos, a lot of things out there about, X's and O's, how to win games on the court. But in my career of almost 2 decades, I've been fortunate enough to learn how to find ways to win and be successful, off the court, dealing with things that we have on a day-to-day basis. And I did a survey, and I appreciate you all reaching out. And it was so many different areas that came along, and now with almost 20 years in the game, it's a lot of things. I've seen almost everything, and still seeing more. But dealing with issues with parents, working with administration, raising money, dealing with kids with attitudes and grades, and social media influence on our players, student athletes when we're trying to work with them. So many distractions that we're dealing with in this day and time, and then also personally, balancing life between, if you're a husband, if you're a father, being able to still give your student athletes your best and also still be present at home. And a lot of times, for some of us, home has struggled. Home is slacked off. And so this will be, inside of this group, we'll also deal with a lot of strategies and things. And it's going to be systematic. Going to have things lined out, content that's going to be built to give you hands-on strategy to deal with these issues and help you. And like I said, it's going to be a community where we can talk, and be able to discuss and be able to open up and ask questions and be real transparent. So I'm gonna let you know, man. I don't cut in the corners. I'm very, very black and white. There's nothing gray that comes out of my mouth. Nothing gray. So when we're dealing with each other, we want to make sure that we're, being opening up. You see some of the faces on this camera. Sometimes they'll tell you I'm too black and white, and maybe I need to gray it out a little bit. I'm Preston. So like I said, appreciate y'all coming on. Also, my name's Eddie Hamilton. I reside in Bossier City, Louisiana. I'm currently the head coach at Airline High School. And I'll go ahead and I guess I'll go ahead and say this because it's kind of like ignored, but I have to say it. First African American, first black head basketball coach in airline history, which is monumental. It's monumental. It says a whole lot about them breaking the color line to say, hey man, bring your resume over here, and we want you to develop this program. Um, Already has a great history there. There's nothing slack about it. Just time for a new voice, and was able to come in, and they saw fit to bring me in. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to share, like I said in this group, the tips and strategies that I've used to be able to handle different situations during the course of my career. Finished at, well, I go back to high school, finished at Booker T. Washington, Shreveport, class of 98. I went to school in Jackson, Mississippi for a semester at Belhaven College. I followed my cousin, Deatrius Lewis, there. He transferred from, we don't call it ULM, Preston. We call it Northeast, the Indians. My cousin Deatrius played basketball there. Preston Edwards was also a student there. And yeah, I see you, man. I see you. And he left there and went to Jackson, Mississippi, and Belhaven, and I followed him there. And went there, had expectations to play. I got called in by our head coach to ask me to redshirt because I'll say this as humble as I can. I think I was causing some problems. So I think I can play a little bit. And he asked me to redshirt. He had 13 junior college transfers that he did not want to disrupt them. And so what wound up happening was the Lord saw fit to give me a injury, first injury of my life, to stop that part of my life because honestly, I played basketball for the wrong reasons. I was playing to get my girl count up. And so I wasn't playing for the game. I wasn't playing it just, I really didn't have a pure motive for the game. And then when I got hurt is when I figured I really did love basketball. And so What wound up happening was I made a decision, frustrated, sitting on the campus, couldn't travel, and I took my academic scholarship back in Louisiana at Northwestern State University in Natchitoches, Louisiana. And there is where I finished college in '03. And I met my beautiful wife of now 20 years, going on 21 years this December. And so I'll jump and I'll go fast forward, finished college there, got married, started coaching. My first head coaching job was at Lakeview High School, the mythical Lakeview High School, where there's been a lot of talent, state title, state runners up. The legend Mac Braxton was there, and I got a chance to follow up behind him. Well, unfortunately, he passed. I think it was in 2007 that I came in and picked up there. And then from that point, like I said, I fast forward, went ahead and moved home, came back home to Shreveport, Bossier, went to Bethune Middle School. Their Bethune Middle School program, I don't think they won a game in like 3 years, and came in and we were literally 5 points from going to the city championship my first year. I'm very, very proud of that, taking those guys from scratch. Left there, went to Southwood for a year as an assistant coach with Coach Norm Piku. After that, I got the opportunity where I'm going to start at Fair Park High School in the 2011-2012 school year, which was as crazy as it sounds, man. At that time, it was a dream. Fair Park have a lot of history of pro athletes coming out of there, especially in football and track. And for those that do keep up, the number 2 pick of the draft in 2000, Stromile Swift was my adversary in high school. 6'11", freak of nature. That's who I had to play against. This is his high school, and was there for 6 years. And that's why I pick up. When I got the job, man, pretty much what it was is just that when I got the job, honestly, I still was an insecure 17-year-old boy. When I got that job, that was my mindset. I was trying to prove to everybody I could coach. I was saying all the good cliche stuff. It's bigger than basketball, and all the stuff about integrity and hard work and accountability. And the truth was, man, I had all kind of demons in my life at that time, and I struggled. To the point where I almost lost my wife right around the time that my son was going to be here. So I told him to be transparent. We're going to be open here in the Coaches Sanctuary. So wound up happening, man, just to add a little context to it, I'm involved in my church heavily. I'm a minister. At that time, I wasn't a minister. I was playing keyboard at my church. And I wasn't a licensed minister at the time, even though I would teach every now and again. But I had the fortune of sitting down for about 7 months and going through therapy and counseling. And I did it with no shame. It was the best time of my life. It was the most free I had ever felt. I didn't have to get up and go to rehearsal. I can get up and go to work, come home, didn't have to go to the church, do all this extra stuff, man. I was just going to therapy, getting help, answering hard questions at home with my wife, who was very supportive. The things that I was dealing with at that time, the habits that I had, she was right there with me. She stood with me. And I have to throw this out because as a coach, we hit the road a lot. We're gone a lot. We're handling a lot of kids, handling a lot of, just trying to fundraise, trying to win games, study film, do all these different things. And man, I was not being a husband at all. I just wasn't. So what wound up happening with that was, man, is I got pulled away. I got distracted and just got caught up in some bad habits. And I'll go over those at a different time. But got caught up in some bad habits, man. And so what wound up happening was my first 2 years, I went 12 and 17 my first year at Fair Park, and 11, 12. And we were a good team. I was learning how to be a head coach. And we had some pretty nice guys, tough kids there. But just things I had to learn. We were very competitive. I think it was at that time only one team that you quote unquote blew us out, and it was the mighty Huntington Raiders here in the city of Shreveport, which is a very, very popular high school program coached by Mac Jones. So for those first 2 years, 12 and 17, the next year was 10 and 17, and that was the time frame that when I got challenged, when I got punched in the gut, to say, hey man, what are you doing? What's going on? Why are you caught up in what you're caught up in? And then the frustration of not winning at a high level because, I wasn't doing it for pure motive. Like I said, I mean, I think that some of us coaches, I think we can lie to ourselves and say we try to do it for the right reasons, but sometimes we make it about us and not about the kids. So I was saying the right stuff, but bottom line was I couldn't give them what I wasn't. So while I was trying to teach them the right things, if I wasn't living that, if I didn't have that creed in my life, then it was hard for me to give them what I wasn't. So that's what was missing in my life. And so during that time frame, 2013, 2014, when I sat down uh, at the church, that was the year that I consider breakthrough. 2014, man, we were 9-1 in our district. I think we were 19-10 that season, first winning season. 9-1 in district, lost to Huntington in district, who had several pro athletes on that team. Some of y'all might be familiar with Mike Qualls, who's still playing pro ball. That's who he was playing against. And so it was a really, really good year, but it was a direct result, in my opinion, of me going through therapy and counseling and learning how to be a better person. I can tell you firsthand that the more I learned about myself, the more I learned about my Lord and Savior Jesus Christ, I was able to live a life in front of my boys and teach them from a pure heart, and then watch them be able to listen and to really, really want to hear what I was teaching. My approach changed at that time, and it started to catch some attention. So I'll tell y'all, when that happened, then we had kids from around the city who lived in our district who started transferring back to our school, because the kids was like telling the other boys, like, man, y'all need to come over here. And so that's when we started to kind of change and shift and get our hands on a little bit more, more talent, guys that lived in our zone that was sitting on the bench of other schools. And I believe that's a direct result of the heart transplant I went through. And so from that point, just to fast forward, now for the next 4 years at Fount Park, we were number 1 or 2 in district. We were ranked in the top. We were ranked in the top, 10, anywhere from 10 to 12 in the state in Class 4A every single year. 2015 was our first undefeated district championship on that team. And, from that point, y'all, it was just, we were a staple. Fair Park was a program that got a lot of notoriety. We got a chance to travel the state, win some games. Of course, you still got to have a lot of talent to get to a state championship, which I'm still fighting for. Man, we were a very, very good program, tough kids. They allowed me to give them my heart, and in turn, they played hard for me. After my tenure at Fair Park closed as a high school, which still brings a tear to my eye. And so I went back to Southwood, where I was an assistant before I got to Fair Park. Went there for 3 years, and he had immediate success there. Had some issues going in, trying to establish culture. But it was a really, really, really good time at Southwood. Had several guys make it to college from there. Some are just starting to graduate now from Southwood, and very, very proud of that. And then, from Southwood, had success there, school shut down. Then from Southwood, this is where I say, the beginning, the change really took place in me, because when I left Southwood was in great shape. I mean, we had some good talent coming into the school, and here I am with my lifelong dream, and I'll say my adult lifelong dream of winning a state championship in the city of Shreveport. Great talent coming in, but the opportunity came at Airline High School. Coach White was retiring, which we had known there for like 3 years. He was retiring, and my wife and I always wanted to live in Bossier. She's from Bend, Louisiana, where we attend church, which is like 12 minutes up the road from Airline High School, and went there. And the reason why I left, which people still didn't understand, why did I leave Southwood? There's a kid there right now, 6'9", one of the top players in the state, up and coming player, getting recruited real heavy. And they were like, man, why are you leaving? I said, because I need to be more present at home. So I'm stopping right there and pausing, because I want all of us as coaches to think about that. I needed to be present at home. After my wife and I have gone through 5 miscarriages before his birth, Ethan Jeremiah is my son, and we had 2 more miscarriages after him. My sole reason for coming to Bossier Parish to Airline High School was to be more present at home. So now let's give you some context. Caddo Parish, which is Southwood, is located. Get the bell rings at 4 o'clock, and we're in the middle of practice at that time frame. We were getting out of practice around 5:30, getting home 6:30, sometimes 7 o'clock, just on a regular practice day. That was very, very stressful on my wife. She didn't complain. It's our life. We do what we got to do. So it's not one of those things you complain about. What you do is you got to do. But you know, the thing about it was is that after almost losing my family, because of just me being crazy and not having no discipline, the biggest thing for me was is that I wanted to be more present at home. My church, we have a lot of men's meetings and marriage meetings, and they teach us the importance of balancing home and work. And I was like, man, I dare not give my life to everybody else's kids. Everybody else's kids. And I'm not there for my own son, which I begged God for and pleaded for. And so, with that being said, the airline job comes open. Go through the interview. COVID hits at this time, so I do an interview through Zoom. And on April 10th of 2020, 10 o'clock a.m. on the dot, Mr. Justin James calls me, and I'm at Airline High School. And that brings us to this point now. Y'all, I would tell you that one of the best things in my life was this situation because we have what they call a courtesy bus here. My son gets up with me every morning, in the car with me every day. We ride to school together, and he gets on the bus from Airline to go to his elementary school. And at the end of the day, 4 o'clock, I'm done with practice at 2:30. So think about it, I'm done with practice at 2:30, and my son is with me 4 o'clock every single day. So I wouldn't trade that for anything, And that is part of how a piece of why the coach's sanctuary is so important, because our decision making as coaches, we gotta check our reasons. Do I want to win state championship? And I'm gonna say here, if you on here and you don't believe you're gonna win one, then there's something wrong with you. Because me, before it's done, I'm fighting for a state title. And if I get more than one, that's what I'm fighting for. But not at sacrificing my family. I hear too many coaches, coaches' wives, everything talk just, it's so stressful. And since I've been here, and I'll say we did a pretty good job, after, even when I was in Shreveport and Caddo Parish, of balancing life. But since I've been here, man, the balance between work and home is way easy. It just is. But for some of us, we know it's not that easy, but you got to be intentional. And the thing that I hope that I'm able to bring to the table for coaches is self-awareness about our motives, why we do what we do. Also understanding our place with our players. We're not that we always say these things, but we're not there to replace their parents. It's not what we are. We're there to be examples. If you're coaching boys, we're there to teach them how to be men. If you're coaching young ladies and you're a man, then you want to teach those young ladies how they should be treated. Our thing is for them is preparing them for life. The bottom line is the things that people sell our children. We got so many kids that are in their 20s who still don't know themselves because in high school they was chasing the game. And in the coach's sanctuary, what I want to be able to is to help us with center our focus on the things that's off the court or field that helps us, we will win games and hopefully help some kids get into school. But the bottom line is that's not number one. Our kids' plan A should not be sports. If you are a freak of nature talent, it's still not number one. Number one is, what do I want to do to take care of my family? Whether you're a boy or a girl, us as coaches should be teaching them the importance of, the role that you're put here for. I believe that we're all put here, unless you choose a life of singleness, we're all going to have a family some type of way. Whether you have a husband, whether you're a wife, let's be honest, some people, hey, we get caught up, we have kids outside of wedlock, we get divorced, we got different dynamics. But ultimately, we're here for each other. Relationships. That's why we're designed. That's why we're created. And so the thing about us as coaches, we get better at serving others when we learn how to serve our families, whatever that dynamic is. Even if you're single, if you have parents, if you have aunts and uncles and nieces and nephews, it's very, very important that we understand the relationships in our life more than anything else. And I promise you, in almost 20 years of doing this, I've noticed and I've been able to have stories and share where I have so many young people who are doing well in their lives because of the conversations we had in the office. Because I was trying to figure out who they were without the game. Because the bottom line is if you don't have character, integrity, accountability, if you're not responsible, you're not going to be a great player anyway. Even if you drop in 30 in high school, that's still, for me, I would never sacrifice character for talent. I want y'all to think about that. I would never, ever sacrifice character for talent. We have to make sure that what we're doing is that we're teaching our young people and living by example what it means to have character. What is character? It's your response to life. It's your response to life. The areas you're weak in, the areas you're tempted in, the areas you're strong in, all this, that's what it's your response to life. That's what your character is. And if you're a person that folds under any type of pressure, whatever that is, and we're trying to teach young people a game, I promise you, your team is going to be just like you. It's going to be just like you. Bottom line. So even for me in my career, where I've been able to make quarterfinal runs, second round runs, I can look across to the other team at the end, and when we've lost, as frustrated as I am about a loss, the truth is the opponent probably had two or three guys that was playing on Saturday, and I didn't, and that was the difference. But there are also nights where our guys, because of our character and because of our toughness and attention to detail and what we work on a day-to-day basis, we will get some wins that people say we shouldn't have gotten. So I mean, it's a direct correlation between developing character. But like I said before, the bottom line is, if you struggle in your character as a person, as a coach, and you wondering why, you might have all this talent and you still falling short, or you might not have a lot of talent and the kids are just not bought in and just don't play hard. You got to check yourself. It's so easy to point the finger at children. They are children playing a game. That's what they are. They're children playing a game, and we have to make sure that we're teaching them by leading by example, by how we live our lives, that our kids don't find out that we're liars. Because we can say all the right stuff, but these kids are like hound dogs. If you fake, they know it. If you're not sincere, they know it. If you're just using them to win games, they know it. They can feel it. I'm telling you. And so if you have times where where you feel like this team should have done this, or these guys are not working hard, or they're not bought in, I'm telling you, and I have my cousin and assistant coach on here, Coach Washington, he'll tell you. I mean, man, we see all kind of stuff, but the bottom line is that I understand. I'm gonna ask me, what's going on with me first? What am I missing? What do I need to go pray about? I always say this because I'm a Christian, and we say that loosely, but I'm gonna call it a practicing Christian, if that's okay, Pastor Lewis. But the bottom line, I ask this question sometimes: what is God trying to pull out of me, meaning negative? What is this situation trying to teach me about me, and then what is He trying to replace it with? What do I need to do differently? What is it? How I'm handling a situation that needs to be that's I'm not doing it right, or my approach is wrong. And then sometimes after you do a real self-assessment based on some set of standards, because you got to have some standards, some moral fiber there, then I can look and say, okay, yeah, that kid tripping, or that parent is tripping. And that goes across the board. So here in the Coaches Sanctuary, these are the things that we're going to be talking about. I appreciate everybody that stepped up and answered my survey and talked about some struggles and issues that they have. So what we're going to do is I'm going to put out, a live video. We're going to meet once a week, just give a live out, get out, talk, and share. Then I'm going to also just give out valuable content and just give it away, man. Just share it. Because at this point in my life, almost 20 years in the game, I guess you can call me an OG. I wear that. I wear it proudly. I'm proud to be alive. So many children. I've buried a lot of kids that I've known directly or indirectly over the years, and to be still present here and to have all these life experiences, to be able to share with my peers and those I look up to be able to share those things. This is what this platform is about. So now there's a gentleman who will be partnered together, Coach Dorsey at Centenary College. Pretty much with him on Basketball Film Room, his group on Facebook. He helps coaches get wins on the court, X's and O's, and I'll be helping coaches get those wins off the court. And so we're going to be supporting. We're going to be supporting each other, and with that, I'm definitely looking forward to growing with you all here, continuing to get you out valuable information to help you grow. Definitely looking forward to it. But I appreciate you all stepping in tonight. And like I said, not gonna hold you too long, and be able to catch the replay when it's there. And we're looking forward to growing together. So thank you all so much. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna shut off the video on Facebook, and then on here. As a matter of fact, I tell you what, let's unmute this. Let's go ahead and do it this way. Is there anybody that has a question about, just about me, or about a specific topic? We'll take a few minutes because I think we've only been on now for about 26 minutes, so we can hang just for a couple minutes. I won't keep you long. I know my cousin, Pastor Lewis, I know your schedule is busy, man. I'm so grateful for you being here. Look forward to get a chance to talk to you after this and get some nuggets, because I want to keep growing at this. But yeah, any questions for me? Anything? I got y'all unmuted, so you just unmute your microphone and just, anybody got a question for me? Hey, Coach Fields, how you doing, man? All right. Are y'all able to unmute your mics? Yeah, good. Is it allowing you to unmute? Okay, then. Let me see here. Let me see how I do this. Okay, it says all muted. Let everyone turn on their microphone. Okay, yeah, now you can. All right. All right. What you got? Any questions?
I'll throw one out there, coach. Just go ahead.
All right. Who we got? All right, go ahead, Cedric. Go ahead, Cedric.
No,
All right.
just the younger kids that we get. We have a pipeline of AAU grassroots and all these teams, and we live in a city that's not huge, and we have 70,000 AAU basketball teams.
Mm-hmm.
So these organizations are creating an environment where these kids think they're all going D1,
Mm-hmm.
which is fine. But the problem that I'm seeing is that so many kids are coming in. They're creating teams that everyone gets to play. There's no real competition. There's only 7, 8 kids on the roster. And then by the time I'm seeing they arrive to high school, it's a whole different ball game. They haven't been challenged. They hadn't had to go through adversity. Everything's been given to them. Everybody's on their coattail.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody kissing their tail. How do you deal? How are we going to deal with this type of generation that has that upbringing when it comes to team sports? When they're just being allowed to play the whole game, and there's only 2 subs or 3 subs on the bench. And once they get to us, coach, it's a whole different ball game, right?
Right. It is.
Or any high school team or collegiate team at that. So they don't know how to fight.
Right.
So that's part of the battle is going into this as I get older that I'm starting to see is how do we counteract that once we receive these kids and parents.
Right. Right. Absolutely. Well, the biggest thing right now for me is that at the beginning of a school year or beginning of a season, when our freshman parents come in, I've gotten to a point now where I really don't do team meetings with parents that have been in the program for a while. Um, what I do is now is that I meet with the freshman parents, and then we talk about, we outline, we have what we call a parental code of conduct that we pass out. And so with that, it lets the parents understand what the expectations of the program are. It's all lined out. And I'm going to share these things here in the Coaches Sanctuary, because the bottom line is that you got to remember, people are coming in with an agenda. You know, they want their kid to play. Okay, that's cool. But then what I learned back around 2014, 2015 is there's a difference between players and competitors. And a lot of times for us as coaches, we get caught up with the kid that has talent, but they don't have the intangibles and the work ethic that matches their talent. So I remember spending a lot of time frustrated with that, but I had to have a set of standards on how I wanted to approach the game and how I wanted to approach the season. And when I got that set up, then it was so easy for me to stand on that. You see what I'm saying? And then with the parents, that's outlined. We have called a parental code of conduct that's in place that lets the parents know it. I tell them, I play favorites. I'm a favoritism coach. I say I don't know not one coach that's not. The kids that can do what I expect the most consistently, of course, along with talent ability, are the ones that's going to play. We are here to win games. And the bottom line is it's on you and your child to develop, their individual ability when it comes down to skill work. I am not a skills trainer. I'm not a one-on-one skills trainer. See how I know my role? I am a head coach and I coach a team. I take a group of people and I take their strengths and weaknesses and put it together in order for the group to win. And so that is the focus for me. And that's what keeps it simple, because I have standards in place that lets you know this is exactly what we're looking for. And if your child cannot do that, and you as a parent cannot do that, then, you would not expect to see them in a lot of games unless we getting blown out by 30 or whooping somebody by 30. But the one thing I'll say is be honest, be transparent, but you're only able to do that when you have standards in place. Is that pretty clear?
Pretty clear.
Okay.
Quick question.
Yes, sir.
How did you know you wanted to be a coach? Is part A. Part B is after being at a couple of different schools and figuring out what type of coach you wanted to be. When did you know you were good at coaching?
Ooh.
You are extremely good at coaching.
Oh, I think,
Journalist, dog.
yeah, 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 yeah. I mean, now the first one was when did I know I wanted to be a coach, correct? Okay. So when I was in
How
school,
did you know you wanted to be a coach?
hold on, say it again.
How did you know you wanted to be a coach?
Okay, so here we go. So I'm gonna go back to high school first, and I'll talk about. I didn't have real goals as a player, like I didn't. Um, the, Going to the NBA or going pro overseas and all that stuff, that was not a reality. Like when we were in school, man, we didn't even talk about winning the state championship. Like we did, it was not a conversation. Um, and what's crazy about that is, and the reason why um, I'm sharing that is because that I didn't understand why we were playing. We were playing, we played hard, you know, but we didn't understand that there were playoff games and there was a state championship at the end. We really didn't. And so I was a kid, so I ain't taking the blame for that. But when I got to college, when I followed my cousin to school, went to go play, I felt like I was making some good strides and had a chance to play there. And so when I got injured, and I didn't have the mental toughness to fight through the injury to continue trying to play, because I didn't have real goals to play. You see what I'm saying? So what's going on now is like, man, I want to stay around basketball, but man, I don't like being hurt. That's what happened. I want to stay around the game, but I don't like rehabbing. I don't like this. And the reason why I couldn't fight through it, because I didn't have a reason that I was playing the game. So what ended up happening was I came home over the Christmas break, went to the Bossier tournament, which is one of the largest tournaments, oldest tournaments in the state of Louisiana. And I was there, and there were two teams playing there. And for some reason, I can't remember. I was with my dad, and when I went to school, my major was computer information systems. That's what I started off in. So when I took the first class, I was like, I don't want to do this crap. And so I was sitting down, and a young man come out the locker room. I'm sitting over there. If y'all know Bossier's gym, if you know their gym, then you know that behind where they come out the locker room, I was sitting at the top of my dad. And so one of the young men coming out, it was just something I saw in the game, and I shared it with him, and he literally went out there, did what I shared with him. They won the game, and he came up to me and just said, "Thank you." I said, "Thank you, I appreciate it. I didn't even see that. I don't know the kid. I don't remember the school." And I looked at my dad and I said, "Dad, I want to be a basketball coach. I want to be a basketball coach." And that's when they hit for me at that time frame. And so I transferred to Northwestern. We call top scholarships. So if you have pretty good grades in high school, the state of Louisiana pay for your schooling. So I had a half top scholarship. So I left Belhaven with my cousin and went to Northwestern. And when I got there to Northwestern, man, I changed my major to PE and health. And I was like, hey, here we go. Let's go. I did not know I was becoming a school teacher until my last two semesters. I wish y'all take note. I did not know I was going to be a school teacher. That was not a part of what I wanted to do. I promise you. I just wanted to coach. I didn't know you had to be a school teacher. But the next part of that is when I started to see the message that it was still years before I believed I was a good coach. I think I knew that I was, but I still questioned myself a lot because I wasn't winning at the level I wanted to. But I will say when it hit me, a moment that I needed, 2017, which was my 6th year at Fair Park, and the two biggest games of my life, we're in the district with state champion Bossier High School, perennial 4A power Huntington, 4A power Woodlawn. We were all ranked in the top 5 at the same time all year. All year. So I'm in the district with these heavy hitting programs. Coach Kenny Sykes at Woodlawn, Coach Jeremiah Williams at Bossier High, who already had won 2 state championships, Coach Mac Jones, who just pretty much dump out 30-win seasons every year. I mean, so you got to remember, I have nothing behind me. And that week, my assistant coach, Coach Harris, got the flu. So I leaned on him a lot. I leaned on him a whole lot. And so what happened is that that week while he was out and I coached those games, I still had my assistant coach, Coach Cook. Coach Cook is a middle school coach with me. He was with me for 9 years. That he wasn't at practices, but he was at games. He did stats for us, and he kind of was like our team therapist, talk to the guys and keep them cool. And those 2 games, we beat Woodlawn. I'm talking about just manhandled them. My cousin might have been there. He might have been there. Preston might have been at that game too. And we manhandled him. And he had on that team 6 college athletes. 6. I'm talking about 6. And we manhandled them. So the next game that we needed to win was against Bossier. And Bossier came over, man. It was probably one of the most exciting games I have been a part of in my life. I think the score was like 30, 35 to 31, something like that. It was such a dogfight. Jeremiah Williams, 2 state championships, coach of the year, a number of times, several players going on to play college. So me, who has nothing on my resume, you see what I'm saying? Who did nothing to earn the opportunity to be a head coach. It was, thank God for Mr. Jerry Davis who gave me a chance. And that week we beat Woodlawn, we beat Bossier, and we officially won at that time considered to be the hardest district, 4A district in the state of Louisiana. And that was when I was like, God, I needed this. I needed this week to have me have more confidence in my process and more confidence in my approach and how I coach the game and how I lead. And that's what it was for me. It was 2017 after being, that was my 6 year at Fair Park. And that's when I was like, you know what? I think I know what I'm doing now. All right, I appreciate that question, man. Anybody else? Any questions? Anything? You look like you want to say that, Coach Fields. You got some on your mind, brother? You got a question for me? Can you unmute yourself? All right.
I think they're trying, but they're saying something, but we can't hear them, Coach.
Okay, then. So I'm looking like yours came on because I pressed the button. Like I told you, I'm getting used to this. I pressed the button that says let.
You got me now, man.
There
I
we go.
figured it out.
There we go.
I figured it
All
out.
right, let's go. Let's go. What you got
What's
for
up,
me?
Coach?
What's
Right
up,
now,
man?
man. Hey, first off, man, I appreciate you doing this, man. I think this is gonna turn into something that's great, something that we can all share, questions that we may all have, and be able to bounce answers and solutions off each other, man. Man, I was just peeping off your Facebook feed too, man. There were a couple people had questions, and somebody asked, what makes a great coach?
Okay.
And so I just was gonna kind of throw that question out there. And again, man, appreciate what you're doing.
Look, before I answer, I'm gonna go ahead and let Hobart. What you got, Hobart? You're on mute. You're on mute.
What makes a great head coach is knowing that if you have off the bench sports at your event, every time you have a game, that great things are gonna happen for your program.
All right, man. I like that plug. He got that plug. Got you. I got you. I got you. All right. So
I love you, bro.
look, Preston. Look, Preston. That to shake his head. Shake his head. But of course, I do want us to be laid back and enjoy ourselves. But so here, Coach, man, the thing about it is that what people don't understand is there's so many different layers to coaching, and some guys are better at one thing than the other, and you gotta know that and be confident. So, so you got coaches that are recruiters. They can get guys to come to their program. You see what I'm saying? That's a mark of a great coach, recruiting. I mean, even if it is illegal. The other part is X's and O's. You got some coaches, man, they can just see the game in a fashion where they just always just kind of just the right play. Like the 49ers, my favorite team, Kyle Shanahan is considered to be a great play caller. To take a pretty much mediocre quarterback and to continue to, get the team to perform at a high level, it's a feel to that. So you got X and O guys that can, they can feel the game pretty good based on the talent they have or don't have. And then you have motivating coaches, guys that just they have a way to press the buttons, that they can get a kid that believe they can like literally just run through a brick wall. You see what I'm saying? So that's a layer to it. You have developmental guys, guys that could take, if it's mediocre talent, you get them to playing way over their heads, or taking talent and getting them to understand how to use their gifting the right way. You see what I'm saying? And have good timing at what they bring to the table. You see what I'm saying? So see all those layers, man. So, but to break it down, I'll say into, sometimes some guys don't even get a chance to get out of development. Some people spend 30 years developing. You see what I'm saying? Because some believe that coaching is being able to handle game situations on the fly. You see what I'm saying? But sometimes we don't even get to that point. Sometimes you're a developer and you got to know that. You see what I'm saying? So, like, I understand my lane. I'm a guy that focuses on character development on a day-to-day basis. Everything we do is about developing character. Everything we take them through, the conditioning, the standards in the classroom, the standards at practice, how we carry ourselves, being involved in other activities at the school. To me, that's all character development. You see what I'm saying? And then that translates. And it takes, in the way I do it, in my opinion, it's longer. It is. But I have it broken down to where I understand we got 30 plus games in high school. So I break it down into thirds. The first quarter, the first third of the season is the first, 8 to 10 games. That's us figuring out our identity. And this is every season. I can't go in and just dictate and say we're going to run this offense, we're going to run this defense. We're figuring it out the first 10 games of the year. And as we're figuring out, and mind you, still winning. The second third is now developing chemistry, understanding time and score situations, knowing who is built for different situations. You see what I'm saying? That's where we're figuring out and getting at that time frame. And then when you get to the back end, which is usually district, going to playoffs, now we know who we are. That's what I do as far as me when I say, okay, well, I consider myself a good coach. Is taking the time through the courses of the year, understanding it's a marathon, and that the journey is more important than the actual destination. You're going to get the destination you're supposed to get, whether it's desirable or not. You're going to get it if you focus on the development of each stage. So like I said, man, motivational coaches, X and O guys, recruiters, developmental guys. So you just got to know where you fall at in those categories, and then you got to do that as best as you can while you're trying to get better at the other stages. Hope that answered your question. All right. All right. Anybody else? All right, man. So we've been on here for about 45 minutes. So I think that's pretty good. And man, I thank y'all so much because all of y'all are family. Hey, I, with no shame, hey, this is new. Stepping out into another realm to give some value and hopefully help some coaches grow, and also there'll be some things that I learned along the way too, because I'm always learning. They say stay green, stay man. You want to keep on, keep growing. So I appreciate y'all so much for joining the Coaches Sanctuary. Hopefully, some enlightenment happen here. Please go and share, the page, because I did make it a private group, and the reason why I did that is because I want it to be for coaches only. Like I said, even in here, like my cousin Pastor Lewis, he's a coach. He pastors. He has a congregation, so he's a coach. Preston Edwards has coached high school and AAU, and he's also a family member. He works in the media, and I definitely love to have, and I'm glad that he's here. And of course, Hovick, my assistant coach Cedric, he hear me every day, and so I think he crazy than me, y'all. So I'm grateful for y'all, and what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna shut it off on Facebook, and all right.